how does Moshe convince Paro that he's a real prophet? How does he convince him that he wants him to let the Jews out of Mitzrayim? So what does he do? He does a few. What does he do? You know the story there. He does a few tricks, a few magic tricks. He turns the water to blood. He turns the frogs. Right, we're going to start this week. This week is going to be the start of the Makos. He brings out the frogs. He makes lice. So the question is, how does this go with all these tricks, these magic tricks? How does this go with the Torah? Right? Let's look up in Shemos in Perek Zayin, Pasuk Yud. Let's read. You see Pasuk Yud here? Vayavai Moshe, right? Towards the bottom. It says on page 324 that Moshe came. Ve'aron el parva yasuchein kasher tziva Hashem. What did they do? So Hashem commanded. Hashem gave them a command. What is the command? The command was to do this trick, to throw down your stick, and it will turn into a snake. Tanin, a snake. So that's what they did. Vayasuchein, they did like that. Kasher tziva Hashem, like Hashem commanded. Vayashach Aaron as Matei, he threw down his stick, his staff, L'fnei Parei, L'fnei Avadav, and in front of his servants. Vayehi l'sanin, it turned into a snake. Yes.
Is there any significance that it's not called a nachash, but I've never heard that word tanin.
It's a very interesting word. You want to know what the word tanin is? Rashi actually says, if you look on the second column in the third line, Rashi says tanin nachash. The second column in Rashi explains that the word of what a tanin is a nachash. Right? So, interesting. So now you want to know, where do we ever find this word? That's a good question. Where do we find this word? Is in davening. We say it. Yeah, but over there, on Shabbos we actually do say something, but I think that refers to the big fish. That's a different thing. But here it says tanin. There, you look up, it could be that's a different word. But we say in V'hinayim. We say in V'hinayim Thursday, Motzei Shabbos, we say it, or people say it at night, to be protected from the different spirits at night. So it's very good to say Shema before you go to sleep, to say V'hinayim. If you have a few minutes, say V'hinayim. You ever heard of this V'hinayim? Because it protects you. What?
And weeknights too, not just Saturday night.
So, by Saturday night is part of the prayers, but if you ever want a little bit of more shmira, a little bit of watch, a little bit more be guarded, say V'hinayim. And in there it says these words, that Hashem will protect us from any snakes, any lions, kfir v'sanin. He will protect us from a kafir. What's a kafir? Kafir is a popular word in Israel now, but it means a lion. It's a lion. That Hashem will protect you. Kafir v'sanin towards the end. Are you looking over there? Yeah. Anyway, so there you look it up. That we do say. So here we're dealing with that he threw down his stick and it turned into a snake. Now that's the first pasuk, right? You got there at page 324. First thing is Moshe threw down his stick and turned into a snake. Next pasuk. Vayikra gam paroi le Chachamim. So Pari called his Chachamim and his Mechashvim, his magicians. Vayasu gamheim Chartumei Mitzrayim, and the magicians of the Mitzrayim. They also did belahateim with their lahateim. What's
spelling?
What is the what?
The same spelling.
Which word is lahateim?
Is a C?
No. No, that would be mateim. It's interesting. It sounds the same, just the lamed with the mem. Mateim is the sticks. Lateim, says Rashi, is. So look at the bottom line of the second column. Belateim, belachashem. Rashi says with their lachash, they were able to say their incantations and their little soothsayers. They were able to say special words, and they would do magic with this. So lachash, right? Like people know how to get a snake to be calmed down is because they say a special lachash that calms down the snake. So too over here, they had these types of incantations, and that's how they were able to do the same type of tricks, and they turned their stick into a what happened? Look at the next pasuk. Right, Rashi. That's what Rashi brings down. So the next pasuk says, every man threw down a stick and it turned into lisanidim. And then it says, and the stick of Aaron then swallowed up their sticks. So that's an interesting idea. That's the first thing. Now I want to.
It was a nest and a nest itself.
That was a nest, a double nest.
Yeah.
That Aaron's snake swallowed up their snakes.
No, not a snake.
What is
the sticks? The wall of the stick.
Good. It's interesting. Aaron's stick. What happened to Aaron's stick? He threw it down. It was to a snake.
Right.
Then what happened? Then apparently it turned back to a stick. Now they threw their sticks down and turned into a snake. And Aaron's stick. That's very interesting. Right. Now his stick swallowed up their sticks, which means their sticks, their stick also turned back to a stick, and his stick swallowed up
like
their
wood swallowed wood.
Right, which is a double nace. A stick swallowed up a stick. So that's what we learn out from here. That's the first unbelievable trick that we found here. Yeah, and that's what Rashi brings down. After it went back into a stick, it swallowed up their sticks. Now, let's go a little bit further to Pasuk Chaf, towards the bottom of this page. There we have another thing that we find that Moshe and Aaron did. What is it in Pasuk Chaf? Vayasu ched Moshe. So Moshe and Aaron did the same thing. What did they do? Kasher tiva Hashem, like Hashem commanded. Vayora b'mate. He picked up a stick. Vayakas hamayim. He hit the water. Asher bayar. And when Moshe, he picked up his hand and he hit the water, right? Aaron actually did it because Moshe didn't want to hit the water, which protected him when he was a baby. So therefore, they picked up their hand and they hit the water in front of Paro. And vayehafku kol hamayim asher bayar ladam. So instantly all the water turned into dam. It turned into blood. So that's the next thing that happened. And then it says, v'hadag asher bayar meis, and all the fish died. Okay. Now, let's turn to the next parak, and let's just see what happened with the Tzvardeya. Just for 1 minute. The next parak, on the next page 328, parak ches, pasuk beis. There again, vayed Aaron es yada. Aaron picked up his hand, and he brought up the Tzvardeya, and they covered the whole Mitzrayim. And then it says, the Chatumim did the same thing. The magicians also able to bring up the frogs.
These two were done by Aaron, right? These two plagues.
These two plagues.
Only by Aaron.
Were done.
Aaron did the snake, Aaron did the blood,
right.
Aaron did the frogs.
Right.
Am I correct?
Yes.
So not Moshe Rabbeinu.
Okay, here we're going to start with that.
The physical action was not done by Moshe Rabbeinu, it was done by Kohen.
Right, okay.
Correct?
Okay, good. Yeah, so that's what the pasuk says?
Yeah.
That Moshe didn't want to hit it, right? Moshe didn't want to hit it. By the Tzvardeya, who hit? Aaron hit it. He raised his hand, and it's interesting. Aaron was the one who also hit there. Right, you have to think about that. Why did Aaron hit the Tzvardeya? Yes.
Quick question. Sorry, so all of the water in Egypt turned into blood. Was it all of the water? I'm just not clear that all the water in the river turned to blood. But then it says that the necromancers of Egypt did the same thing. How could they do that if the water was already blood?
That's interesting.
What water was left to?
He's asking if Moshe and Aaron made all the water in Egypt and turned to blood. So how does it say in the next pasuk that what happened? That there, in the top of page 328, it says that the Chatumim did the same thing. What did they do it with?
Oh yeah,
the river, not the hole.
Oh, this is not the hole. This was just the river itself.
What?
He only turned the water into the river.
Oh, so let's see. What did they turn?
And then
one second.
The river from Father, the river.
The blood was throughout the land of Egypt.
No, 1 second.
What does that mean?
Vayachas hamayim asher bayar, vayachu kol hamayim asher bayar ladam. So they're answering that only the water in the river.
Okay.
It's interesting.
Then what did his guys change?
What did they change?
Because water inside every household was not blood, yeah? The next passage says that Egypt could not drink the water from the river. And the blood was throughout the land because the Nile goes through all of Egypt.
So what water was left for the Egyptian magicians to change into blood?
Private water in your home, which was not connected to the river.
No, the truth is there is a machlokes here, because they say that there's a difference between the water that was underground and overground. According to the Ibn Ezra. Ibn Ezra says that only the water above ground turned into blood, but any underground water that they dug up, that was water. And what's the proof? Because the proof is that they started digging. It says over here in Pasuk Chav Dalet on page 328, Vayachberu kol Mitzrayim sevivas hayar. They started digging for water to drink. Ki la yachlu lishtais mimei hayar. They couldn't drink from the yar, so they dug. So it's interesting. I think this is where the Ibn Ezra gets his raya from. That there was water underground, but any water overground or in the yar or in the river, that was tam. Interesting diuk. We can look up the Ibn Ezra. I don't have a chumash like that right here, but I think that's his proof from this pasuk. They dug. Where were they digging?
So, what would you say about the other situation, the other place?
They have a nice set over there. They have a beautiful. You could get it different. They have a new red set, but it's missing the Shemos. Yes.
What about what's there and those other places? True. It says the same thing happened where Moshe brought upon frogs upon Mitzrayim. Then the Khartoum did the same thing.
So what's the problem with that?
The same thing. Moshe already did it for.
Yeah, but they brought out some new frogs. That I can hear. A few new frogs. You see how base? Yeah. Oh, yeah, that I can hear.
Because they were swarming everywhere, so to have more frogs swarm everywhere.
Yeah, a few more. You could follow that.
They got multiplied.
Yeah, they were multiplying. Right, every time they hit them, you got more. So they were able to pull a frog out of their hat. Right? One more frog. That I can hear, but he's asking, where was their water? So the answer, right, that we're saying here is, according to Ibn Ezra, is that it was only water underground, right? Only overground turned into blood. Let's look up this pasuk here. This pasuk, it's a very beautiful diuk that are bringing from this pasuk Chav Dalet, right? Zayin Chav Dalet says Vayachbru. You see that pasuk?
Yes.
What were they digging for? The answer is Vayachbru kol Mitzrayim svivas hayar.
The dug around the river for water.
So here he says, the Ibn Ezra says, Rabim oimrim. There are many people who say, Ki amayim hayu biyad ha-mitzri adumim kedam, v'nislabnu biyad ha-Yisraeli. Right? We know that when it was in the hand of the Egyptian, it was blood, and when it turned into the Jews' hand, it turned into water. Okay. Now Ibn Ezra just asked, why didn't the pasuk say this nace? This was a miracle that when it went to the Jew's hand, it turned into water. He asks the question, why didn't the Torah say this? So he wants to say, he wants to argue and say that maybe the Jews weren't able to have water.
He might be right, because look at the pasuk exactly what it's supposed to. They couldn't drink the water. They dug around the well, on the water of the Nile, couldn't drink it. Because they couldn't drink from the well, from the river. But the pasuk doesn't say they couldn't drink whatever they dug out.
Right. That's my deal. That's what I'm being with Dayat. Yeah. And let me just see if the Ibn Ezra here, if I could find it inside. Oh. V'yesh lishol. Here we go. Chavit to Ibn Ezra. You can ask a question. Im al yad Aaron. If through the hand of Aaron, nehepchu. Nehepchu means it turned around. Kol meimi mitzrayim l'dam. It turned all the water into dam. Ana matzu hachartumim mayim ve'afchum. Ana. From where did the chartumim find water to turn it into dam? Ibn Ezra. Ve'atshuva. The answer is Aaron lehafach rak hamayim shahayu ala haaretz. Aaron,
above ground.
He hit all the water on the ground, above ground. Lo hamayim shahayu tachas haaretz, not the water underground. And the chatumim, what did they do? You wouldn't believe this. His next word is hachatumim chafru. Chafru, he gets that word because the pasuk says that they dug. The chatumim, they dug. They took out water. The heru, and they showed that this water we're going to turn into dam. That's what he says over here. Interesting. And he brings out how we find from here a lot of miracles came out from the blood, that the all that water, it turned into blood. Yeah, he brings out
either the rabbit or they don't go down.
Mitzvah ended up buying water from the Jews, didn't they?
Yeah.
To blood then?
So the Medrash says that the Jews were able to have water, and if they bought it, then apparently because it says that the Jews became rich during Dam, because when they bought it, right, they were able to sell water. Yeah. So it seems from that didn't turn back to blood, because they wouldn't have bought it if it would have turned back to blood.
So maybe they used that water.
So according to the Medrash, that's another answer. According to the Medrash, that's another answer, that they bought it and then they made that into blood. That also is a very nice answer. Very nice. This is what we're coming out over here.
Where
he also comes from? Where's the
It's just the Ebenezer. Very beautiful.
In order to enrich the Bnei Yisrael, they were able to sell it. And as soon as it was a sale, the water did not turn blood.
Right.
If a Jewish person was giving the Egyptians a gift, the water.
The Medrash says what you just said, by the way. I just want to tell you, the Medrash says that is how they had to turn it into blood. Only way they were able to do it is because they bought the blood. They bought it.
They made money out of it. They didn't turn it.
They dug well.
Where you reading from? What page is that?
328.
Yeah, the bottom.
Ibn Ezra.
Yeah. So that's the Ibn Ezra. So this is the Ibn Ezra I just read. That's the Ibn Ezra's answer. The Medrash's answer is that they bought blood, and the water that they bought the water, and then they turned that into blood. So these are two answers. Two answers to this question. Now, very good. And now we have the Tzradeya. So we're coming across now two different makas. Now, if you look at the Rambam here, because what are we coming out from all of this? So these are different, looks like magic, looks like special tricks. So you have to know how this goes with, how does the Torah look at magic? How does the Torah look at these types of different tricks? Now you have to know, by the Mitzrayim, it was all like a sleight of the hand, right? The Ibn Ezra over there also speaks out that it was a big difference between the way the Jews turned it, right? The way Moshe turned it into blood, and the way they turned it into blood. Let me show you how he says it. He says, because the difference was, first of all, it only says that the fish died when Moshe did it, right? That means it was real blood. It wasn't food coloring. It was real blood. He also says, the Ibn Ezra says it was water. It wasn't the water that he touched. It was water all over. That's an interesting thing. It wasn't just magic. Okay, but the Chatumim, they only did whatever was in front of them, right? They had a cup. So they were able to change that cup into blood. But they couldn't do it far reaching to a different room, to a different part of Mitzrayim. That was entirely different. It's a big miracle that only Moshe could do. They did it for in the cup, and he also says, and that you can only do it for Rega Echad. Ibn Ezra says, for 1 minute. As long as power was here, they were able to have power somehow. They did a trick. But once power went back to his house, they weren't able to do it longer than that. It was just as long as they were able to. So now the question is, right? We know that sometimes Hashem, Hashem does certain nisim. Sometimes He brings a navi to do nisim, but usually we don't do different magic, right? Magic is called like koiches hatoma. It's like called the kochos, the powers of impurity. We don't go into these ideas, which are koiches hatoma, which means there's a difference between miracles and magic. Miracles is Hashem showing His hand in this world. That is called the koach of kedusha, the force of holiness. That is from Hashem. On the other hand, there's magic, which is from the koiches hatoma. That is the spiritual forces of evil, which we find that Avraham gave to Yitzchak. He gave him his money, right? He gave him a lot of things, but he gave to the his other children. Says he gave them the Shemos Hatoma. Rashi brings down in I think Parsha Sarah there. That's what he gave to them. They had that koiches hatoma. So, what is the idea? We have to look at the Rambam. What is the idea behind the koiches hatoma of magic? Right? The Torah doesn't really look favorably on magic. Now we have to look at the Rambam because the Rambam explains it very nicely. Let's see how he says it. Now, because we have here in our Parsha, right, we see that Moshe is doing certain miracles here. Okay, so what we find here, let's see the Rambam. The Rambam says that, look at the Rambam, Ezehu Kaisim, right? The Rambam is in Hilchos Avodah Zarah. Notice, right? You could look on, just guess you could share. We'll start from the top here. You'll look on together. Sure. So the Rambam says, what is a kaisim? A kaisim is a magician. Zeho oisa maisa mishar maisis. He does an action from like different actions. Kidei sheyosum v'tifne machshavasai mikol advarim. I think it means sheyoshum. I think until a person will be like so stunned and astonished, and ad sheyomer Devarim Shasidim Lias, and he'll start talking things of the future. He'll say the future. V'yomer davar pleni yasid Lias. He'll start saying this thing is going to happen in the future. Or it's not in the present. Or tell you things that should be happening. Now he says that we are warned from being in contact with any of these people who are these types of soothsayers, or they can tell the future, fortune tellers. All these people, the Torah doesn't want us to deal with them. We shouldn't be near them. He says there are other kaismen, yesh min ha-kaismen, shemesham shemim bechol. Some people they put their hand in the sand or ba'avanim, and they could do certain tricks with them. V'yesh misha goyher la'aretz v'yanaya v'tzayik. He could like scream at the earth, and it will shake, and he'll scream. They do different tricks. Yesh misha mistakel b'mara shel barzel. They look in a mirror of iron, or a mirror of you could see through a glass. And they can make different appearances, and they can say different things. Some people will pick up a stick in their hands, and they'll nishan alav umakabai. He'll lean on it, or he'll hit it. We'll have these different ideas, but who Masha Amar Shanavi Yomer, and on all these types of people, the Navi says, Be'etzia Yishal Umakla Yagidloi. These people who they ask Be'etzia Yishal Umakla, they ask for an Eitzah, they ask for advice. Umakloi, and his makol, his stick, will tell him what to do. That's what a kaisim is. So then he says in the next halacha, also la'oining. Now it's also to be a me'oining. What's a me'oining? So the pasuk says one cannot be this type of magician. Even if a person doesn't do any action. So Rambam here explains me'oining is also a similar type of trick that they do. These different maisiyas, right? The Rambam said in the beginning it was different actions and different lies, right? Kazavim, Oisam Kazavim means, look what the Rambam calls them, liars. Oisam Kazavim. Shehaksilim that the fools medamin shehein divrei emes. So the fools believe these people, and people think that they're saying emes, divrei emes. The divrei chachamim. People think that they're saying wise things. Also, there's people who are able to trick you, and by a sleight of the hand, it's called, right? They're oiches your naim. It's like they grab your eyes, but it's called the sleight of the hand that you don't realize. And in a second, it's really all a trick. They have it while you're looking over here, and then they do the trick down there. So the Rambam says these people also, they make it appear in front of the people who are watching. It looks like they're doing a maisa which is amazing, but really he never did it. So the pasuk says one cannot be a ma'oinen or menachish, and if he does, he gets malchus. If he does these tricks, right? You have to look into the idea of magicians, how they can do these tricks. But the Rambam says they get malchus, they get lashes if they do these types of tricks. Now, and the next thing is a chayver. A chayver is also some type of person. She'enon loshoin am ve'ein lahen inyan. He speaks different things, and he says umala al datoi b'sechlusoi shoysan advarim va'ilim. He makes believe like his words help. He makes it like what he says, his incantations is going to help the snake, that a snake shouldn't come and damage, right? Or that people start to believe that if that person says this and this thing, then he'll be saved. So that's when he comes out. And the second to last line, the Rambam finishes off that any of these people, the third to last line, the Rambam says anyone who does these types of magic tricks, he gets lashes. This type of lashes is from the Rabbanon, but if he does other types of magic tricks like we spoke of before, he gets malchus from the Torah, because the Torah said you can't be able to.
Sometimes they're Jewish cute magicians that are doing their card tricks. You got friends that are doing card tricks.
We have to look into it, because it seems from the Rambam, these sleight of the hands, the Rambam himself speaks it out very clear. You shouldn't do that.
Also, I wanted to ask, based on what the Hartulim and Mitzrayim were doing, was the main problem? I feel like at some point, just by the mere fact that they were able to produce frogs or change water to blood, not just as a denying Hashem, but also they belittled what Hashem was doing. That there's something comparable that could be the same thing.
Oh, that's why you think that's why it was so bad what they did. That is true. That is true. They were
such a chiddush to
right. Yeah. Right. That was a separate problem with what they did.
This Khartoum in Mitzrayim, they work out Koy Khartoum. Today, I don't think these magicians have Koy Khartoum. It's the speed, it's like fan, it's illusion, it's optical illusions, where they have this faster than the eye can see.
But the Rambam said even those people, the Rambam said that he said in the halacha, right? This is Perek Yud Aleph. In halacha Tes, he said, look at halacha Tes. He said those people who the guy who does there's a word for it. What? Yeah, no, there's a word for it that it's sleight of the hand. They're able to, without you seeing, and it looks like you did an amazing thing. He says the Rabbi says it's a bechlal. He's a ma'oine. He's what the Torah says. Don't do these types of tricks, and he gets malchus. So it's an interesting. And the Rambam finishes off that the problem is he is doing this foolishness and all these types of things. It's not good. The Rambam doesn't like it, and he ends off on the last line. Right, there's nothing good from these types of things. And then he continues. Look at the next paragraph right after that. What does the Rambam say after that? So that's the Rambam. And the Rambam continues, Devarim Elu, he says these types of things, Kulan Divrei Sheker. These are false, it's falsehood. It's all falsehood. It's all lies. And I'll just translate what he says, the rest outside. And this is what they trick the people who serve idols. That's how they trick them. How do they trick them to get the followers? They do all these tricks. And then they say, now you should come and serve the sun or serve the moon and follow this idol, because here, look what we could do. We could do all these types of tricks. And therefore, it's not fitting that a Jew who we are the smartest of all the nations. We say in the end of the Torah that we are Chachamim. And the Chachamim, here I'm reading from over here, outside, the Chachamim, right? Everyone will say that who is like the Jews who are the smartest of all the nations. So it's not befitting for us to go after this foolishness that they have, which is not any to'elas. It is no benefit from what they do. And therefore, if someone does it, then he makes other people think like there is some benefit from this. And he brings down that we never find this. And it says that the nations that you're going to inherit from Israel, they turn to the Be'onein, to the magicians and the soothsayers and the fortune tellers. But you will not do that. And anyone who believes these words or their words, and he thinks that maybe this magician is something, he knows what he's doing, he's really making a trick, a real trick, the Rambam says, and if a person thinks that it's true, but the Torah said don't do it, right? The question is, what does it mean? The Torah said don't go to a magician. Don't believe him. What is the Torah saying? Is the Torah saying he's really true, he really knows how to do a good magic trick, but the Torah said don't go to him? Is that what the Torah said, or did the Torah say don't go to him because he's really full of falsehood, he's really full of sheker? The Rambam says, right, you have the two sides. The Rambam says no, it's not that the Torah is saying it's really he knows what he's doing, but don't go to him. No, it's full of falsehood. That's why you shouldn't go to him. And he says, is someone who believes him is a fool and he's lacking any knowledge, and therefore he hasn't matured. But the people who have real wisdom, they know with clear proofs that everything that the Torah said is forbidden, right? Those things are not true. The last word the Rambam says is Einam Divrei Chachma. It's not anything of wisdom. It's all Tohu Vavayu. Tohu Vavayu, fourth word in the Torah. It's emptiness. Hevel, smoke, nothing in there. That they get pulled after because it looks like it's something, and because of this, it causes them to leave all of the emes, all of the truth. And because of this, the Torah said, that's why you're going to look, the Torah says, don't get pulled after these magicians, don't listen to them, because if you do, then it's not just that the Torah said that the Torah didn't want you to look at magic tricks. The problem is because then they pull you to serve idols, or they pull you to do these different things, and they can convince you to do things because look at they're able to do these magic tricks. But to a gateway. It pulls them. So therefore the Torah said don't even get started with them, because if you get started they'll pull you to them.
They're great at kids' birthday parties.
They're good for kids' birthday parties. So that's where it has. After that, then they have to stop. And therefore the Torah says 4 words. Tamim tihiyah im Hashem elikecha. Tamim means you should be complete. Tamim, wholesome. You have to be with Hashem. Complete. Don't go after any of these types of people because they will lead one astray.
It's an interesting point about birthday parties and things like that. Can you? What is the sole purpose for entertainment? And it's literally that.
So we have to look this up in halacha. I'm not speaking tonight as saying a halacha, a final ruling. First, I'm just bringing up the way the Rambam writes this. We're going to have to look up. We have to go to the Rav just to understand how this plays into our lifestyle with the birthdays and everything. We're going to have to look that up. But first we're just explaining what's the problem with this, right? And you see people, right? They set up shop and they're fortune tellers and they lead people off, and they just all they want is money, right? All they do is they're ripping people off with a lot of money. But other people could do even worse. They could lead someone off the path of Torah. Okay, so therefore that's why the Torah says forbidden, and the Rambam is saying not only is it forbidden, but he's saying it's nothing. He has all the words. No substance. No, not that it's something, it's substance, but the Torah doesn't want you to go there. It's zero, and only the fools get pulled after such a thing. It's all these certain types of sleights of the hands that are able to trick people. And therefore the Torah, right, even though there's nothing, that's why the Torah said you shouldn't even go near them. And therefore he says that if someone goes near them, ready for this? First of all, we spoke out he gets lashes sometimes, and some of them he's even obligated to get killed. Some of them, if he does certain things, he will get killed. Now, although this is an interesting idea. Even though it's nothing, the Torah still said don't go near them. And if he does, even though he's going near nothingness, but still, the Torah gave malchus, the Torah gave lashes for someone who goes to do these things. So that's what the Rambam says. And anyone who believes in these things and he thinks that maybe it helps, he is a foolish person. The Rambam calls him.
So the lashes are not for the soothsayers, magician. It's for the people who are listening to them.
Yes. Now, we'll have to look at what their punishment will be. But here we're even saying anyone who goes to them, right? He can't. Right. Now, and the reason is because they will pull us away. And we know that the Jews know that there's no such a thing. It's interesting. We have to look up what a magician himself does. We have to look up. It could be he also gets a good punishment. But the question is, based on all this, how do we understand Parshas Vaera? How do you understand Parshas Vaera? What exactly happened here? Right? Dov, Svardei, Akinim. The Rambam says there's no such thing as a magic trick. So how could you understand Parshas Vaera? Right? What is Parshas Vaera saying? Right? Now we're back to Parshas Vaera. Right? So now let's read. What did Moshe do? What did Parah? What was happening over there? The Rambam said it's nothing. It's Hevel, Tayu, Vavayu. Foolishness. There's so many descriptions.
In normal circumstances, not because they did the Siva Hashem. God told them to do that.
Hashem told them to do
That's
this.
right. So it cannot be nothing. There's something to it.
So what happened there? What happened in Mitzrayim?
Under normal circumstances, where let's say if I would go out and become a magician out of my own will, and this is what I'm doing out of my own koyach, this is what you're not supposed to do.
So let me ask you first. Let me ask you first. So the Egyptian sorcerers. So what they did, was that real? When they made fun. So what the Rambam will say? No, it was all a sleight of the hand.
Right, yes.
It was all he faked everyone out. They faked everyone out with the blood.
No substance whatsoever.
Right, that's what you have to say. Right, nothing happened which was real.
Boy Nishlam is Nissim had substance. That's why they couldn't read the water.
Now, so I want to show you. Look at just that little paragraph on the side. I want to show you that Rabbeinu Bachaya. You see the little one. This little one over here on the left side. The Rabbeinu Bachaya actually says that. Oy ulai. It could be Masha Amar Vayasu Chein. So when it says that Vayasu Chein, right? Where does it say Vayasu Chein? So that was what we copied, right? That was the first pasuk that we read. That also the Egyptian sorcerers did that. What does it mean Vayasu Chein? They did so also, right? What did the pasuk say? They also did, right? In pasuk Chav Beis, right? In the Perek Zion. Vayasu Chein Chatumim B'Tayim. The question is, Moshe, Hashem did an ace. Aaron could do an ace. So he did a miracle. What does it mean? Vayasu Chein Chatumim. Their sorcerers also did so. Vayasu, they did Chein. So, what does that mean? So, did they also do such a real trick? Moshe and Aaron, they did real blood.
They tried to imitate it.
What does it mean by Yasu Chein? What does it mean the same? What? They did the same. What does that mean the same?
Seemingly the exact same.
It sounds like the same, right? I mean, they
not just sleight of hand.
Oh, that's what it sounds in the pasuk. So Rabbeinu Bachaya, because of this, Rabbeinu Bachaya actually reads into these words. Masha Omar Vayasu Chein Hakol Asiyah Mezuyefes. It means they did an action which looks like what Moshe and Aaron did. It was mizuyefes. What does it mean, mizuyef, in the Gemara? What does the word mizuyef mean? Forgery. Fake. They did what Moshe and Aaron did, but they did it forged. They faked it out. They didn't do the real thing. Vayasachein, it was similar. Kivan sheshamu hachatumim ha'asra l'Moshe v'Aaron shehisru kein betchilu l'paroi. once they heard that there was a warning to Moshe and Aaron, Shizu Chein Metchila Pare Hikdimu B'Kayim Shadayin Le'Nepach Sham Mamayim L'Dam Hermes Atzmai Oisim Chein B'Lateim V'Yom Ginaseh Chein Mikoycham. Once they heard,
in the second case,
it wasn't the same. It was made in China.
they heard Moshe and Aaron come and tell Paro, you better let out the Jews. So the Chatumim, these magicians, they wanted to stop that. So they made believe they could also do it. And therefore they went to the places where there wasn't any blood, like we explained the two different ways, either the Medrash or the Ben Ezra. And they dug up the water, and they also, Heru es Atzmam. Heru means they showed themselves like they could do it with their tricks, Belatem. And they said, Nasa came. They made believe like they did it by their own power. But it was for sure that it was not through their mouth that it turned into blood. Right? Therefore he says it was a forgery what they do. And therefore, it says in the Pasuk a stunning idea. What does the Pasuk say? Take a look at the Pasuk for a second. What does it say when they did it? So it says that they did it by the eyes of Paro and Moshe. So
in front of
the eyes of Moshe, right? You have to find the pasuk there. The pasuk says that they did it here. Here we go. Pasuk Chaf. It says they did it le'einei Paro, only to the eyes of Paro and to his servants. Like we read from the Ibn Ezra, the blood was in the cup, but only as long as Paro was in the room. The minute Paro left, they couldn't do it any longer because it was a fake. It was a forgery. So now, based on that, so to sum it all up, right? The Rambam is saying it's not. It was all fake what they did. So that's just how to explain the beginning of the Parsha for now. Maybe next week we're going to have to go continue this. But the beginning is that the magicians, they couldn't do anything. It was all fake what they did. Okay, that's where we'll start. Next week we'll go step B.